My father's voice crackled through the phone, calm and casual, as if he were talking about the weather. I've transferred your research patent to your stepsister. She deserves it more than you, she'll know how to make money from it. I stood in my Stanford lab, gripping my phone so hard my knuckles turned white. The breakthrough I'd spent 5 years developing, research that had consumed my life since grad school, he'd just given away like it was nothing. My name is Alexander Carter. I'm 32 and a biochemical researcher specializing in targeted drug delivery systems. My work could change cancer treatment, making it more effective with fewer side effects. My dad, the CEO of Carter Pharmaceuticals, decided to hand it over to Madison, my 25-year-old stepsister, whose biggest achievement was getting an online MBA. You can't do that, I said, trying to keep my voice steady, though I was burning with anger. The patent isn't yours to give. Of course it is, he scoffed. Carter Pharmaceuticals funded your research. That means the company owns it. And as CEO, I decide who gets what. He paused, I could almost hear his smug smile. Madison has the business skills you lack. She understands the market. I glanced at my computer screen. An email from the U.S. Patent Office was open, confirming my patent was approved 3 months ago. What my father didn't know was that I saw this coming. Ever since he married Madison's mom 2 years ago, he'd been slowly pushing me aside, taking me off key projects, despite my expertise. Well, I said calmly, I hope Madison enjoys trying to commercialize research she doesn't understand. The silence on his end told me he expected me to cry or beg. My calmness threw him off. That's all, he said awkwardly. Legal will send over the transfer papers. Good luck with that, I replied, ending the call. Right away, I sent a text to my lawyer, Sarah Martinez. He did it, just like we predicted. My hand shook, not from fear, but excitement. The plan I set in motion months ago was finally moving. I remembered the night everything changed. My dad introduced us to his new wife, Diane, and her daughter, Madison, at the company's charity gala. I had just finished presenting my early research results to investors, and the response was incredible. But instead of congratulating me, Dad shifted the spotlight to Madison's MBA. Madison will be joining the company as head of strategic development, he announced proudly. She'll help modernize things and bring fresh ideas. I watched as years of my hard work, my PhD, my published research, faded into the background. Madison became the company's new rising star. At first, I tried to work with her, sharing my knowledge about the industry and our research, but she wasn't interested in learning, she wanted control. Slowly, I was shut out. My lab access was restricted, my research team reassigned, my funding quietly cut. Then Madison started showing up in meetings about my drug delivery system, taking notes and asking questions that made it obvious she didn't understand the science. That's when I called Sarah, an old friend from college who specialized in intellectual property law. Document everything, she advised, every email, every restriction, every change. Most importantly, file your own patent separately from Carter Pharmaceuticals. So I did. I worked nights and weekends, logging every part of my research that wasn't funded by the company. The final breakthrough happened on my own time. Using my personal equipment, I made sure everything was verified by independent witnesses. Now, it was only a matter of time before everything unraveled, on my terms. My phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. Papers filed. Your independent patent is solid. Their transfer attempt will trigger the investigation we expected. I opened my desk drawer, pulling out a thick folder labeled Project Shield, filled with every email, document, and detail proving how my father and Madison tried to push me out and steal my research. The official records might show Carter Pharmaceuticals funded the early stages, but the key breakthroughs? Those were mine, developed independently. Another text from Sarah came through. By the way, that business acumen your stepsister brags about? I checked. Her MBA program isn't even accredited. I wasn't surprised. Madison always cared more about appearances than actual knowledge. She spent more time posting on LinkedIn about being a female pioneer in pharma than learning how pharmaceuticals work. My office phone rang, Madison's extension. I ignored it, already guessing what she'd say. Her voicemail proved me right. Alex, we need to discuss the transfer. I have ideas for monetizing your project, ideas you clearly haven't considered. Call me ASAP. I packed my things. The next few hours were going to be crucial. The patent challenge would trigger an investigation, forcing them to prove where the research came from. Every document would be examined. My phone buzzed again, an email from the legal department, urgent, IP transfer documentation required. I forwarded it to Sarah without even opening it. In the elevator, I thought back to how this all started. My mom co-founded Carter Pharmaceuticals with my dad 30 years ago. She was the science genius. He handled the business. After she died of cancer, I dedicated my life to continuing her work, believing Dad and I could honor her legacy together. But when he met Diane, Madison's mother, everything changed. Science became secondary to profits. Research timelines were rushed. Protocols skipped. Madison's arrival was the final blow. Suddenly, market potential mattered more than scientific merit. By the time I reached my car, Dad was calling again. I ignored it. He'd get his answer soon enough. I drove straight to Sarah's office. The conference room walls were covered with timelines and evidence, everything we'd gathered for months. Right on schedule, Sarah said as I walked in. Your dad tried filing the transfer. It triggered immediate flags with the USPTO because your independent patent was already on file. How long until they realize? I asked. They probably already have, Sarah replied, smiling. Your dad's legal team is in for a rough morning. My phone lit up with a text from him. What have you done? I showed Sarah. She nodded approvingly. Perfect. Let them sweat. We meet with the patent office tomorrow. Your documentation's airtight. They won't be able to claim corporate ownership. I thought about Madison, probably sitting in her office, planning how to take credit for work she didn't understand, and Dad, who threw me aside for his new family's ambitions. What happens next? I asked, though I already knew. Next, Sarah said, we watch them explain how they tried to transfer a patent they don't own. The USPTO takes patent fraud seriously. Your dad will either have to admit he tried to steal your work or claim he didn't check the paperwork. Either way, it's bad for Carter Pharmaceuticals. My phone buzzed nonstop. Madison, Dad, the company's legal team. I silenced it. For the first time in years, I felt in control. I signed the papers, officially launching Carter Biotech, my own company. A final text from Dad, we need to talk, now. I smiled. Yes, I replied, we certainly do. The next morning, chaos erupted at Carter Pharmaceuticals. I watched from across the street as lawyers ran in and out, looking panicked. Sarah sat beside me, calmly reviewing our documents. Your dad called 6 times in the last hour, she said. Want to hear what he has to say? I shook my head. He had plenty of chances to talk, before he tried to steal my work. Another buzz, Madison. Her message made me laugh. This is a misunderstanding. Daddy was trying to help you by putting more qualified people in charge. Don't ruin everything because you're jealous. More qualified? Sarah snorted, reading over my shoulder. I grinned. She thinks drug delivery systems are like Uber for medicine. Last month, she suggested we make an app for it. Our meeting with the USPTO wasn't until 10 a.m., but we came early to watch the drama unfold. Through the glass walls of Carter Pharmaceuticals' lobby, I saw the crowd gathering. Dad, Madison, Diane, half their legal team. Ready? Sarah asked as Dad's number flashed on my phone again. I nodded, gathering our files. More than ready. We walked inside just as Madison rushed to the elevator. She froze when she saw me, her polished confidence faltering. Alex, thank God, she said. You need to stop this. Daddy's furious. You're making us look bad. I stepped back when she reached for my arm. Making you look bad? I raised an eyebrow. You mean like stealing a patent you have no right to take? She laughed nervously. Don't be dramatic. We're family. Everything in this company is family property. Carter Biotech isn't family property, I said calmly. Neither is my research. Her brows furrowed. Carter, what? Before I could answer, Dad's voice boomed across the lobby. Alexander, in my office, now. I turned to see him in his doorway, red-faced with anger. For a second, I saw him the way I did as a kid, powerful, intimidating, but that spell was broken. Sarah stepped forward. Any discussion will happen with legal counsel present. We have a meeting with the USPTO in 20 minutes. Let's meet in the main conference room. Dad's face darkened when he recognized Sarah. He knew her from company events, but never expected her to be against him. This is a family matter, he growled. No, I corrected him. This is a legal matter. You tried to transfer a patent you don't own. That's fraud. The word hung in the air. Employees stared. Madison's face went pale. Conference room. Dad snapped. Everyone, now. There must be a mistake, my father said. All of Alexandra's research was done under Carter Pharmaceuticals. Any patents belonged to the company. Sarah smiled and slid a document across the table. Actually, we have proof showing the key breakthroughs were made independently using Dr. Carter's personal time and resources. The next hour was painful for my father and Madison as Sarah calmly laid out the evidence, lab logs, emails showing how I was pushed out, and proof that Madison lied about her qualifications. Her MBA was from an unaccredited school. Madison's face turned red. That doesn't matter. My degree is just as valid as Alex's. Is it? I asked quietly. Then maybe you can explain how my drug delivery system works, since you're so qualified to take over. Silence filled the room. Madison looked at my father for help, but he just stared at the documents, his face pale. Dr. Wong cleared her throat. Based on the evidence, the patent application was properly filed by Dr. Alexandra Carter as an independent researcher. Any attempt to transfer it without her consent would be patent fraud. My father looked up, his voice desperate. Alexandra, you can't do this to the company, to our family. Our family? I said coldly. The family that tried to steal my life's work? The family that pushed me aside for someone who doesn't even understand biochemistry? I was trying to protect you, he shouted. Madison knows how to make research profitable. Like she profited from her fake MBA? I shot back. Or planned to profit from science she doesn't even understand? Madison burst into tears, her usual move when things didn't go her way. Deanne, my father's new wife, wrapped an arm around her. Enough, my father slammed his hand on the table. What do you want, Alexandra? Money? A promotion? Name your price. Sarah and I exchanged a look. This was the moment we'd waited for. Actually, I said, sliding papers across the table, I don't want anything from Carter Pharmaceuticals. I started my own company, Carter Biotech. My research, my patents, my future, they all go with me. The room was dead silent. My father picked up the papers with shaking hands. You can't compete with us, he finally said, but his voice wasn't confident anymore. You have Madison's expertise in making apps, I said. I have the science. Let's see which one investors believe in. As Sarah and I left the building, my phone buzzed. An email from an investor, the one I met at that gala. The subject line read, interested in backing Carter Biotech. I smiled and showed Sarah. The future was already brighter than the past. The first month flew by in a blur of meetings and late nights. I set up a temporary lab, and many of my old research team joined me, excited to work without corporate interference. One day, I was reviewing grant applications when my phone rang. It was Charles Montgomery from the FDA Advisory Board, a big name in pharmaceuticals. I heard about your split from Carter Pharmaceuticals. Quite the splash you're making, he said. I hope it's the research making waves, not the family drama, I replied. Both, he chuckled, but I'm calling about your drug delivery system. It's impressive. We'd like you to present it at the Innovation Summit next month. Before I could respond, Sarah burst into my office. Alex, turn on the financial news, now. My heart sank. My father was on screen, standing at a podium. We're proud to announce our groundbreaking new drug delivery system, he said, developed by our brilliant head of strategic development, Madison Carter. The coffee cup slipped from my hand and shattered. Is that what I think it is? Montgomery asked sharply. They're stealing my research, I whispered. Madison stepped up to the podium, wearing a lab coat like a costume. She read from note cards, repeating the words from my patent. Sarah was already on the phone. Get me Judge Harrison, now. This is an emergency. Montgomery's voice was low and serious. Alexandra, I'm hanging up. I might be involved in the official response to this, but off the record, nail them to the wall. We filed for an emergency injunction. The biotech community buzzed with rumors. That night, my father called. This could have been avoided, he said, sounding tired. You could have stayed and been part of the family business. You mean the business that stole my research on live TV? It's not theft if you worked here. Everything you did belongs to us. You know that's not true. You saw the patent confirmation. This isn't just unethical, it's illegal. It's business, he snapped. By the time legal challenges go through, we'll have market control. You really think you'll get away with this? You should think about coming back, he said, voice softening. There's still time to fix this, to be a family again. We stopped being a family when you tried to steal my work. The next morning, Sarah came in early with news. Judge Harrison granted the injunction. Carter Pharmaceuticals can't make public claims about the system until the hearing. That won't undo the damage, I said, showing her emails from worried investors. Then we fight back, she said, not just legally, we tell our story. The Wall Street Journal wants an interview. People need to hear the truth from you. I hesitated. I like to let my work speak for itself. Alex, Sarah said gently, your father's counting on you staying quiet. That's how they win. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense. She was right. The interview went viral. Madison tried to defend herself in her own interviews, but stumbled over basic science questions. It became clear she didn't understand the technology she claimed to create. The final blow came when Dr. Wong from the USPTO confirmed my patent and announced an investigation into Carter Pharmaceuticals. Their stock plummeted. My father's oldest friend, Dr. Chen, visited my lab. Your mother would be proud, he said softly. She always said you had her gift, seeing what others missed. Did you know this would happen? I asked. I suspected, he admitted. Things changed after your father married Deanne. Science stopped mattering. I should have spoken up. Half the research team wanted to join me. Sarah walked in, smiling. That interview is still blowing up. People are calling you the future of biotech. I smiled, thinking of Madison in her costume lab coat, pretending to be something she wasn't. No, I said, I'm just being who I've always been, my mother's daughter. I was meeting with potential investors when Sarah rushed in, breathless. Alex, turn on the news now, she said. The headline made my heart stop. Carter Pharmaceuticals CEO steps down amid investigation. There was my father on the screen, looking older and defeated, reading a prepared statement. In light of recent events and the ongoing FDA investigation, I am resigning as CEO of Carter Pharmaceuticals. I acknowledge that under my leadership, the company strayed from its founding principles. The investors watched closely. Victoria Chong, the lead investor, smiled. Well, she said, this makes our decision easier. Dr. Carter, your mother built Carter Pharmaceuticals on scientific integrity. From what we've seen, you're doing the same with Carter Biotech. 2 hours later, I walked out with $50 million in funding and a clear path forward for my research. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from old colleagues and industry contacts. One caught my eye. Can we talk, Madison? I almost deleted it, but curiosity got the better of me. We agreed to meet at a small cafe. Madison looked different, no designer clothes, no perfect hair. She seemed smaller, quieter. I'm sorry, she said immediately. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I needed to say it. I studied her face, expecting the usual manipulation. Instead, I saw genuine regret. Why did you do it? I asked. You must have known you'd get caught. She stared into her coffee. Daddy made it sound so simple. He said you were being selfish, that family should stick together. I believed him because I wanted to believe I could be what he wanted. Her voice shook. I never understood your research. It was like a foreign language, but I wanted to matter, so I convinced myself it wasn't stealing, just family resources being redistributed. She gave a sad laugh. I sound just like him, don't I? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again, a message from Sarah. FDA report dropping in 10 minutes. It's worse than we thought. The report was brutal. Years of rushed trials, manipulated data, ignored safety protocols. Carter Pharmaceuticals stock crashed. The board called an emergency meeting. Madison read the news, her face going pale. He knew, she whispered. Daddy knew all of this was coming. That's why he rushed to announce my version of your research. He needed a win, and I was his shield. If it failed, I'd take the fall. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I was so stupid. I felt my anger soften into something closer to pity. Yes, you were, I said gently, but you weren't the only one he manipulated. Another message came through, this time from Dr. Chen. The board just voted. They're cleaning house. Your father, Diane, the entire executive team, they want to talk to you. Me? Why? They want to restore the company's credibility. They think having Robert Carter's daughter, Catherine's daughter, help rebuild might send the right message. I thought about my mother, the company she built, the values she instilled in me. Then I thought about Carter Biotech, about the work we were doing. Tell them I'm honored, I said, but I already have a company, one built on the same principles my mother believed in. Madison watched me, her voice small. You're not coming back? No, but maybe it's time you built something of your own too, something real this time. Later that night, I was still working when my father showed up. He looked older, more broken than I'd ever seen him. "I suppose you're happy now," he said, slumping into a chair, the mighty Robert Carter, brought down by his own daughter. "You brought yourself down," I said quietly. "I just refused to let you take me with you. I was trying to protect the company." "No," I corrected him, "you were trying to protect yourself. Mom built that company to help people. You turned it into a game of quick profits and shortcuts." He flinched at the mention of her name. "Catherine, she'd be disappointed in me, wouldn't she?" "Yes," I said softly, "she would." "And you? What would make you happy now? Money? Control of the company?" I looked around my lab, at the whiteboards filled with formulas, the hum of equipment, the researchers hard at work. "This," I said, "real science, real progress, everything Mom believed in." He looked around too, really seeing it for the first time. "You really did it," he murmured, "built all this on your own." "No thanks to you." He sighed, "I don't suppose there's any way to fix this?" I thought about everything, the lies, the betrayal. "Not between us," I said, "but you can still fix yourself. Tell the truth, take responsibility, be someone Mom would have been proud of." After he left, I stayed in the lab, thinking about everything that had happened. My father tried to steal my work, but in doing so, he pushed me to build something better, something that was truly mine. Sarah showed up a few hours later, grinning. "The board's handling the FDA violations, they're adding new oversight, they're even talking about renaming the company, making a fresh start." "Good," I said, "they need one." "And us?" she asked. "The latest trials are looking incredible. We're on track for FDA approval months ahead of schedule." I smiled, thinking of my mother's legacy. "Then let's keep going. People are waiting for this treatment." Sarah hesitated. "One more thing," Madison called. She enrolled in community college. She's studying chemistry, says she wants to understand the science this time, not just pretend. I thought back to our meeting in the cafe, to the tears, the regret, and the courage it takes to start over. "Good for her," I said. The next morning, I found a package on my desk, my mother's old lab notebook, sent by Dr. Chen. On the first page, she had written something I'd never seen before. "To my Alexandra, who sees the world not just as it is, but as it could be, never let anyone dim your light or steal your dreams. You are capable of more than they know. Love, Mom." I ran my fingers over her handwriting, feeling closer to her than I had in years. Sarah appeared in the doorway. "Ready to change the world?" she asked with a grin. I smiled, holding my mother's notebook. "More than ready,"